Alicia, and now I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the history of Rio Grande do Sul and our people. Rio Grande do Sul was the Brazilian state which struggled the most to establish its borders within Brazilian territory. And this happened because Rio Grande do Sul was the scene of several disputes throughout its history between Spanish, Portuguese, and indigenous ethnicities. Besides that, in the 19th century, German and Italian immigrants came to Rio Grande do Sul. Nowadays, people who live in Rio Grande do Sul are called gaúchos. The gaúcho identity was created by the mix of influence of all these people that came to Rio Grande do Sul. Portuguese, Spanish, indigenous people, German, Italian, and Afro-descendants. Rio Grande do Sul's occupation began with the arrival of Spanish Jesuit priests, because at that time Rio Grande do Sul was a Spanish territory. These Jesuit priests founded the Jesuit reductions that were kind of indigenous villages that existed in the past and nowadays are represented by the Mission Route, a UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Another very important people for the constitution of the Gaúcho identity were the Azorians. In 1752, Portuguese immigrants from the Azores Island arrived in Rio Grande do Sul. These immigrants, that were mostly couples, settled on the banks of rivers and were responsible for founding a lot of important cities in Rio Grande do Sul, like Pelotas, Rio Grande, and Rio Pardo. They also settled on the shores of a lake, called Lake Guaíba. The main rivers of Rio Grande do Sul flow into this lake. It was this village, which was established on the shores of this lake, that gave rise to the city of Porto Alegre, today's capital of Rio Grande do Sul. In 1824, German immigrants came to live here. The Germans founded and occupied several cities in Rio Grande do Sul, like Santa Cruz do Sul, São Leopoldo, and Novo Hamburgo. They developed very important economic activities that still remain, like tobacco production, beer production, and footwear industry. They also influenced the culinary of Rio Grande do Sul and the culture. Every year in Santa Cruz do Sul, Oktoberfest takes place, that is a very typical German festival. After the German immigration came the Italian immigration. The Italians occupied a region popularly known as Serra Gaúcha in Rio Grande do Sul. They developed a network of commerce and family farming, in addition to the production of wine, which is still very relevant to the Rio Grande do Sul's economy. Famous cities for the Italian immigration, like Caxias do Sul and Bento Gonçalves, receive visitors every year that come to taste the wine produced in the region or to go to the grape festival.
Firstly, Rio Grande do Sul is a very patriotic state, and so it loves its culture. Our traditions are still very usual in smaller towns, though big cities always have CTGs, which are centers of culture where people dance to traditional songs. Pilcha is Gaúcho's typical clothes. Women use long and colorful dresses, while men wear boots, large pants, a hat, and a red scarf. We also have several traditional foods: rice and beans, coffee, negrinho, and paçoca. More specifically, here in Rio Grande do Sul, we have local-made cheese and wine, due to our Italian influences, and barbecue to the tropeiros that lived here. Another important element of our culture is the chimarrão, which is a hot beverage made with mate herb. Its cup is called cuia and its straw is called bomba. People, after drinking, fill it again and pass to the next, so everyone drinks on the same cuia and bomba. While taking turns at drinking, people also talk a lot, making it a good way to socialize. As you may know, the most popular sport here is soccer, and there are two great teams in Rio Grande do Sul, Internacional and Grêmio. They make up the greatest rivalry in Brazilian soccer. It's usual for families to go to stadiums on weekends to root for their team and spend time together. There's also great art made here, from literature to music. Our most famous writers are Érico Veríssimo, Mário Quintana, and Moacir Scliar, We also have Teixeirinha and Wilson Paim of traditional composers, and Elis Regina and Engenheiros do Havaí of pop rock and bossa nova. Rio Grande do Sul also has its unique expressions, such as ba, which can be used in almost any situation, guri and guria, which mean boy and girl, and tri, which basically means very.
Grêmio surpassed Inter in the table.
Ba.
Internacional is on the top of the championship.
Ba.
The referee did not whistle Vitão's goal.
Ba.
Hello, my name is Anya Stern and I'm here to tell you about the fauna and flora of Rio Grande do Sul.
To start this video, I believe that would be better for us to begin with the flora from Rio Grande do Sul, so I can show you a little bit of the fruits, how we use them, like in some dishes, some desserts, and then after that we move on to the fauna, which would be basically some animals here common in Rio Grande do Sul.
Guava or goiaba, it's a known fruit here on Rio Grande do Sul. With it, we are able to do a dessert named goiabada, which sometimes can also be turned into a jelly. By making the goiabada, you can then create other dishes like Romeo and Juliet, which is goiabada and cheese, creating a bittersweet flavor, or even casadinho de goiabada, which is a cookie filled with goiabada and sprinkled with some sugar powder.
This one which I'm showing is neither a fruit, neither a vegetable, but it's actually a seed known as pinhão here in Rio Grande do Sul. The pinhão is from the Araucarias trees, which are natives here from Rio Grande do Sul, and you can eat them by putting them on boiling water with a pinch of salt in it.
Grapes are actually not from Rio Grande do Sul. They are really common here and also really famous. We even have actually a festival by the best grapes here from Rio Grande do Sul, from the best vineyards. They are chosen by shape, color, and even sweetness.
Now going to the fauna of Rio Grande do Sul, first we have the quero-quero or southern lapwing. It's known as the symbol of Rio Grande do Sul, and the reason for it is because of his behave while defending their nest and newborns. Quero-quero also has a different nickname, which is the Pampa Sentry. Quaker parrots or catuítas or cocotas are really common in big and small cities of Rio Grande do Sul. Even though they are super duper cute, they are also known as plagues for corn farmers, since they enjoy way too much the flavor of corn knobs. We can't talk about Rio Grande do Sul without talking about horses, so here are the most common Brazilian breeds you might find it here. First, we have the Criollo horses, which go from 1 meter and 50 centimeters to 1 meter and 60 centimeters. With the same height, we have here also the Manga Larga Marchador. With 1.6 meters to 1.7 meters, we have now the Campolino. And we end it all with the Brasileiro de Pismo with 150 to 180.
Between all the states of Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul is the 5th most searched for foreigners for tourist attractions and proposals. So we're gonna organize this video in preferences to show you the best places to go. The capital, Porto Alegre, is more recommended for those who like urban or even technological attractions. We have like Usina do Gasômetro, Cais Embarcadero, and Chalé da Praça 15. These three are almost located in the same place, which is close to the Guaíba Lake. Still in the center, we have a public supermarket called Mercado Público, a museum called Casa de Cultura Mário Quintana, and parks like Praça da Redenção and Parcão de Porto Alegre. And of course, we couldn't ignore the Museu da PUC, which is an excellent place to bring children or to even have fun with the technological works and interactive works. And also, if you want to go out at night,
You can go through Padre Chagas and Cidade Baixa and you have fun. Now let's change our perspective. For those who like more rural and green places to go, we strongly recommend Cambará do Sul in Taimbezinho. The canyons you can find there is beautiful. And also Cachoeira dos Venâncios and Lajeado das Margaridas, which are not very famous in the south, but they are beautiful places to visit here. Of course, to those who are faithful through the cold weather in the northern hemisphere, we will recommend the Chile of Rio Grande do Sul. For example, São José dos Ausentes, one of the coldest cities in the entire state. It has hut-style hotels and farms. There are canyons, waterfalls, and viewpoints to visit. We needed to make a special place in this video for Serra Gaúcha. Let's talk about Gramado and Canela. It's impossible to go to Rio Grande do Sul and not visit the two most famous cities. There are so many attractions that it's easy to set up itineraries for a whole week and still have places left to visit. The highlights are the Culver Street, the Black Lake, Snowland, the Crooked Street, Mini World, Santa Claus Village, the Stone Cathedral, the Steam World, the Carco Park, Open Park, and the Floribal Chocolate Stores. Please, you need to try it. In Serra Gaúcha, there's also the Wine Veil. There's 50 miles just covered with wine grape plantations. And besides Italian restaurants, handcraft stores, ice cream parlors, and coffee shops. And it's an obligatory point for those who like wines and sparkly wines. For those who prefer the heat to the cold, North Coast is a beautiful option. In Torres, one of the most famous beaches here we find in Suguarita Park, a large geological site and den of environmental preservation, with its basalt walls and native vegetation. Speaking of Torres, let's talk about two famous attraction festivals in the south of Brazil. Torres is home to the largest ballooning festival in Latin America, which attracts more than 300,000 tourists a year and makes the sky colorful during the morning and afternoon on the beach. Besides this, Pelotas Fena Doce is perfect for experience the best of the region's candy culture, inspired by the Portuguese cultural heritage.
In addition, we have the Gaúcho Pampas, which are located in the western part of the state. The area represents about 65% of the territory of Rio Grande do Sul. In the city of Alegrete, for example, we can see an infinity horizon covered by a carpet of grass, forming a magnificent landscape.